Greetings, everyone. Can you see me, hear me? Let's see. I am still setting up, still in the process of setting up. I am also going to show you what I've been doing recently, which is essentially converting everything that I'm doing in 118 into 112 scale. And there's multiple ways to do it. A lot of people simply go to their software in for 3D printing, and they'll use the scale option and they'll manually scale it up so that it looks like it's something bigger. But since I use SolidWorks, it's a little bit more precise. There's no magic number like simply enter in 118 or 112 or 16 or something like that. So you got to do a little bit of math to come up with a factor of how much you want to scale something up or down. And it's not really complex math. It's a simple division. But you know how it is. Some people, they see or hear the word math and they, like, okay, I don't want to do anything with it. Sometimes it happens to me. And especially I'm on the phone with my brother, and he's the professional engineer for stuff like this. And so he'll come up with a mathematical solution. Oh, just do this, just do that. And I'm like, what? Math? I got to think. Fractions? What? So I try to keep things simple. And in this case, it is simple. So this is what it takes to do it. And I will show you how to do it as I do these things. So I've already started the process. So SolidWorks, I guess I'll bring up a little dummy file and I'll show you what it takes. But in the meantime, I can interrupt what I'm doing and show you how I got there. And I'll do that right now. Let me see about sharing the screen. Maybe we can do it like this. Can I move this to the other side? I guess I can't really move. I wish I could move this to the other side. I guess I'll just have to work with the other side. Okay, so here I go. Let's see. I need to switch screens. Well, here it is. I'm getting all butterfingers with the screens, the layout. Okay. This is what I did yesterday. It came out a little bit too small. Oh, let me show you. Let me switch the screens again. And go full screen again and show you what I did yesterday as a prototype. So here's a 6-inch G.I. Joe Cobra figure. I'm using this one as my testing thing. So I printed a new keyboard. This is a non-cleaned up raw print right off the printer. So you'll see, imperfections, like stringies in between the keyboard buttons. And just ignore all that stuff, okay? This is before I go clean things up. So the keyboard is a little bit on the small side. The buttons are about okay in terms of the finger. But in terms of the width of the hands, when I use my hands to my keyboard, from fingertip to fingertip, that's the length of my keyboard. So if I try to do the same thing with this, basically it kind of works, but it's still a little bit on the small side. It looks better on the camera than it does in real life. It looks like it could work a little bit, maybe a little bit on the tight side in terms of the camera, but it should be about like that. And so this one came out a little bit too small. So I have to redo what I did yesterday. And here's the other thing about when it comes to scaling something. You simply should not scale from a lower scale like 118 and then go directly to 112 without without doing some fix-ups. Because what happens is that the printer is going to show all of the scaling imperfections. And so if you notice this print, things look nice and sharp. It's because I did some extra work. So when you scale something like a 118 weapon and you get into little bitty details, those details are going to get, larger, and they may scale properly, but they may not look right when you put it next to a figure. It may look too big, or something looks too deep, or something doesn't quite look right. Because the thing is that when you're dealing with small scales like this, and you're not trying to reproduce for accuracy like a fine scale model would, then you're working a little bit on eyeballing the object to make the object look good to whoever, to the collector. So so things like this, I have to go back in and I have to fix it up. The other thing I have to do is fix it up for the printers, because now, for example, I went ahead and made some recesses inside the bottom of the keyboard. So that's because when it prints on the build plate, the large surface makes it difficult to remove it from the build plate. So I have to take a knife or a spatula or something and kind of work it out. It takes some time, and that could also damage the build plate. So I make these little cavities here, so the surface is not one large surface on the build plate. There's gaps, and so that's one of my techniques. That's one reason why you will see a lot of the larger stuff that we do having some sort of recess like this. I try to disguise it so you don't notice that. So when it comes to props like this one, it prints like this, flat on the build plate. So I do those same type of techniques, where it's basically just a few items that are actually touching the build plate. And so that explains why there's a lot of these recessed parts and parts kind of touching just a little bit to make it easier to remove. And I do take into consideration, in the future, perhaps someone wants to cover them up. So I do have, little attachment locations to do something extra in the future to kind of cover things up. The other thing too is that a lot of these items are thin enough that they can be removed, clipped off, or snipped off. But okay, I think enough of that for the moment. Let's get into some work. Let's see. Let me go to share the screen again. And let's see. Okay. So I got some background music on. I don't want to have that music playing too loud or being picked up by the microphone. So, I don't want to do anything like that. So, but I don't want to have it, so quiet back here, because I want to enjoy what I do. So okay, so anyways, if the background is a bit much, let me know and I'll try to lower the volume a little bit more. I'm almost tempted to just put my headphones on and just listen to it like that. Okay, so anyway, share this. Okay, the screen's already sharing. Let me switch to SolidWorks. Okay, so this is the actual work that I'm currently doing, currently working on. Let me select that, To do the scale, SolidWorks has a feature called scale. And let me see if I can just demonstrate with another file without having to. Okay, I got a file right here. Let me just okay, let me try it with this. So this is coming up. This is a 1/18 scale add-on prop, and hopefully it finds all the files. Okay, and this is the keyboard in 1/18 scale. All these things are 1/18 scale. If I want to make this into 1/12 scale in SolidWorks, what I would do is, I don't know if I have to select it or not, but I tend to select it. Then I go to Insert. Yeah. Well, let's see, where is it? Maybe I don't go to. Well, this is an assembly, okay, where I'm using multiple items. I'm looking for some tools. They're not in the location where I expect them to be. Okay. Bad example. Let me close this one. Don't save it. Let me instead bring up one item of that instead of an assembly. Okay, so let's say the keyboard holder. So this is the item where the keyboard is going to sit in that prop. Okay. So if I want to make this single item into 1/12, I will go to Features, and then I choose Scale right there. Now the default is going to be like 1, okay. And but in this case, what I will do is I'm going to take out the calculator. I think I could only share one item on the screen at a time. So see, here's the calculator. So I would enter in the calculator. I would enter, like, 18 for like 1/18, divided by 12, and I get 1.5. So the idea is to enter into this field 1.5. And centroid just means like center of the object. There's other options. There's origin, which is this little blue arrow in the middle. I'm going to go centroid because origin and centroid, I started at center anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. Then I'm going to choose, I'm going to click OK. And now it's bigger. So that's all it takes. Now this model as is probably good enough for printing. But of course, what I would do is I would go in and change some of these items because they don't need to be at 1/12 scale, like the way it connects to the other objects. I could make these connecting points smaller. I can do other things, but so I would go in before printing and kind of touch up the model. Now, this came out, this keyboard I did yesterday at 1.5, the same scaling that you saw me do just now. And it's a little bit small. So I'm doing trial and error. So the nice thing about SolidWorks is that once you do the scaling, you can go in and do other things. Okay, I can add other objects and stuff like that to this, make fixes, and then say, oh, I need to rescale the thing. So instead of starting from scratch again, all I got to do is just go edit feature and change the scale. In this case, I'm going 1.65. Now I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Now, if I don't trust myself, because at what point was this rescaled? Was it 1.65 from a 1.5, or was it 1.65 from a 1? 1 to 1. I don't know. I got to go in and put some lines and kind of test out the measurements. So I'm just assuming it just made the adjustment correctly, and but I have to verify that. So anyways, that's what it takes. Complicated math. And so, at DioWarriors, we make math easy. So anyway, yeah, so it's really not too much when it comes to SolidWorks and math. A lot of the stuff is, a lot of the challenging or the difficulty is taken out, which is one reason why I really like this program. Now when I switch gears and I go to the keyboard stuff, I got to make sure I'm working on the right file. So what I did before this video started was do the scaling at 1.65. You can see that here, 1.65. Now, what I'm doing is currently I am dressing the things up. So if I just print this model as is, the buttons are going to blend right into the surface of the keyboard. So it won't have that real 3D look like the item is assembled. When you look at a keyboard, the buttons are not flush directly to the surface of the keyboard. It's raised on the mechanisms for the keyboard, so it looks like it's raised up a little bit. If you have a lighted keyboard, you can see even more noticeable like that. So to do that effect, what I'm doing here is making some undercuts, and so that's what I'm in the process of doing right now. And actually, I am actually cleaning up these lines here. I'll explain as I go why I'm doing them like this. This is a tedious part, but it's necessary. And you'll see similar techniques for other aspects of the model, especially with other models. So right now I'm just making some lines here. I'm making squares. I don't want to just make, you'll see why I'm doing it like this. So I don't have to go back and forth to the menu. I'm just doing a continuous line. It's a little bit faster. I know there's other ways to do this. You can always make a line and then make an array. But instead of working out the spacing, by the time I get done with doing all the settings for the array, I will be done with this too. And there's one more part here. Gotta go from here. This is a little bit easier. Here to here. Here to here. So let's see. And I'm going to just trim off the excess. So trim these things off. And so Christmas is around the corner, just a few days. And I know you guys are all curious about the orders and things. I did a mail run yesterday. I am going to do another mail run tomorrow. If any of you have orders pending and you're out of town, please let me know to hold off shipping to you until you return to pick up your mail. And let's see. So I'm about done on this part. So if you look at it, this will make an undercut everywhere. It'll keep the buttons kind of recessed up, and so that's what I'm shooting for. I gotta do these 3 buttons here. It's already done. Okay, now I gotta do this. Well, gotta do these over here. Do something like this. Watch. I think at this point I'm going to cut and paste because I think the buttons are uniform spacing. So I'm still getting over the issues that I had concerning the emergency room visit I had a couple of weeks ago. There are still some lingering effects. I'm still trying to figure out why I'm getting this excess gas. I think I could do this. Watch. Copy all of this and then just delete this. Paste. Damn, look at that. This happened to me yesterday. I don't know why. A glitch, I guess. Yes. Same thing with this. Then I gotta, yes. Delete this. Click this. I don't want to select chain. Reverse, so it's 1.5 millimeters difference. And then trim. See, that's one reason why I was doing the other technique of these lines and stuff like that. I gotta get this thing out of my way. It's annoying. Okay. Then select this. Trim that off. I don't think I'm going to risk doing the cut and paste again, just in case that glitch happens to this. Set up buttons here. These sets. Okay, so almost done. So yeah, it's going to go and do what happened. Hold on. And it didn't catch the endpoint. There it goes. So yeah, going to be offering 1/12 scale props. Not everything will be converted because some things are just too large. But I'll have to make exceptions, like in terms of the design. For example, lots of the stuff that we do in 118, to cut down on the time it takes to 3D print, we rely on other tools like laser cut. And so some items might be too large for most of the printers. So I may go and do laser cutting for items that would normally not need to be laser cut. And some items that are laser cut might simply become too large for the laser machines. So I may have to work out, some other way to do those parts. Oh, that's it. Now comes for the real tedious part, which is these items here. I may have to do the array part. So let's see how well I can do them. the array technique, not array part. So do this. Select. Let's see. What's the distance? Here to here is 1.65. I'll try to use that. So select these. Go to linear sketch pattern. Okay, it appears over here. That's 10 millimeters. 1.65. Let's see how that goes. Now a little bit more. 2. A little bit too much. 1.9. So 1.98. Yeah, that looks about good. So how many do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This feels like Sesame Street. 11. Can you say 11? Ha ha ha. Or something like that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You remember if you ever watched Sesame Street? Remember how they used to make like a rhyme or sing song? Oh look, I missed one. When it comes to the numbers. Come on, take it. Okay, maybe just copy and paste it. Now I'm going to, well, I guess I could do it now. Now that it's in front of me, I don't have to go back around and zoom. Start clipping some of these things off. Yeah, this is tedious, but I don't have too many keyboards. I try to use the same keyboards for different props. Of course, I do have more than one style of keyboard to fit the different props, but I try to keep things kind of consistent. So let's see. Now I gotta do paste. Go on. Grab it. Oh, it's getting interference from that. Man, go away. Come on. Too many things it's finding interference from. Grab this, go away. I can't click it out. Like, at least I can drag it out my way. Okay, so take this, grab it, move it down. Now, from doing this yesterday for this part, I know that some of these items are not quite the same size. So I guess cut and paste is not going to be the smart thing. So like I said, it's, when you do a lot of things in 118, you're not necessarily going for like historically accurate. You're dealing with, ultimately you're dealing with a toy market. And lots of times, toys are not necessarily accurate like a fine scale model is. I guess these buttons are more accurate, more consistent. Yeah. So lots of times there's eyeballing to make something look balanced, to look artistically good. You may see this. Did I screw something up? Okay. You may see a lot of this with when it comes to weapons. And when you upscale them, you know, you have to go back in and make adjustments. How many do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So let's go 11. Oh, what was the settings that I had? How come I didn't remember the settings? 1 point, what was it? 9.8? Okay, looks good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I guess 12. Huh? Okay. And the same thing with these. Although I wonder if I could simply cut and paste. Yeah, let me try cutting and paste here. Copy. Paste. Huh. Select. I really need to delete these because I'm going to just make a line and go back in and trim everything off. Faster if I just go trim, huh? Oh, it did a catch. Call it catch. Trim. And can I do the same thing? Cut and paste again? Maybe I could just grab these. Copy. Paste. Now you can see it's not quite. So this is. So I guess this video is going to be about an hour's long. I really need to go in and just change the size of this. 1.67. This is what? 1.65. Let me do that real fast. So it's 1. Originally at 118, this was 1. So I gotta make this one into 1. Okay. Okay. I think this one's also 0.99. 1. Make sure. It's also 1. Okay. Right there. Okay. And I think I have this button cut and paste over here. Oh, that's 1. What's this one? 1. 1. Okay. I guess that was it. Okay, so now I click this. go back to what I'm working on here. And just take a quick look. Okay, went to endpoint, so that's good. I don't have to do anything there. Come to here, input here. Oh, so other little topics. How many of you are getting into or excited to get into virtual reality? I know I am. Mostly because, first of all, I've been following it ever since high school. And back in those days, in the 80s, I was getting my feet wet with programming even back then. I think my first programming job was actually, I was 15, I think. I don't remember precisely the age. I'll have to ask my brother because he remembers quite well. And well, back in those days, I was really excited to get into things like AutoCAD. And back then, AutoCAD was like the de facto CAD program for PCs. You know, there were other CAD programs out there already. The names don't come to me right now. But those were not necessarily designed for a PC. And if they weren't really designed for the average person at home to afford. So Autodesk comes along and makes AutoCAD, which was very affordable. So anyone at home who was into drafting or engineering, and whether it's architecture or some other structural thing, they could use AutoCAD to do projects at home. Essentially run their own business doing architectural or some other thing. So, so you end up having a lot of architectural firms and a lot of other businesses. In my family's case, a lot of the offshore oil drilling companies that my family worked for, was adopting AutoCAD, moving away from manual drafting and things like that. So I was able to experience AutoCAD way back, like in version 3, maybe even before. I don't remember what was the earliest version, but version 3 comes to mind. And back then, it was all basically 2D. And they had some nice fill effects. They had an Etcher pattern, MC Etcher. And if you guys don't know who MC Etcher is, he used to do a lot of 2D illusion type arts, things to make it look like it's 3D and kind of like a paradox. Like, for example, someone walking on stairs, and the stairs is in the shape of a figure 8, an infinity effect. So the stairs goes up and follows the curve, comes back down over and over. So the person's walking over on a continuous, but the perspective shows the stairs, in a perspective that looks like it's warping all around. Like at one point it looks like it's going upside down, but then next thing you know, it's right side up. Or he did a lot of black and white tile type of effects. Like you'll have like a white crane bird, okay, and a black crane, another bird flying with some spacing. And as the spacing gets closer, the black and white cranes, the wings, the shapes begin to morph into, let's say, a sailing ship. So you start at this corner, and by the time you get to this corner of the picture, there's this morph that has occurred. And so MC Etcher is famous for doing things like that. And AutoCAD had a nice little fill effect that you can fill in, like cross-hatching, shading effects. But one of them was an MC Etcher effect, and I liked it. And so I used to just dabble and make shapes. And sometimes I'll just fill in those shapes with an Etcher filler. Well, there were magazines at the time that got into things like architecture and other items, not just architecture. Okay, I know when it comes to VR, especially in the early days, a lot of people take it from the point of view of architecture, and that's not what you, that wasn't the only thing you would use AutoCAD for. And when it came to VR, you could use it for other things. But architecture is easy to understand, and for a person who's not into CAD stuff. And so because you could visualize a window in 2D CAD, yeah, it's architecture for a house or for a building. The door frame, and then overall how the building looks, versus let's say using AutoCAD for a pipe, for for plumbing, drainage system, things like that. So anyway, one of the magazines that I used to like getting and reading was one called Cadence. And Cadence used to be on the forefront for showing the latest technology on CAD stuff, whether it's AutoCAD or other types of CAD. And so now I'm trimming these lines now. So I'm at the last part of what I'm doing. So anyways, I used to just read up these magazines, trying to follow what was going on in virtual reality. And lots of things were primitive back then, as you would expect. The helmets were big. Oh, look at that. Okay, Control Z. The helmets were big and almost like ridiculous, big. You had like basically a full helmet, or at least like a ring that went around the head, and then you had this large display thing that really stuck out. I mean, it wasn't anything close to your eyes; it was far. And I remember at LSU, at least twice, they had some company bringing like a VR station, and students used to line up in front of the LSU student union. And they, I didn't have time to go into them. I had to get to class. But other, people, I guess they had time, between classes, the way they have their schedule set up. And they used to, line up and wait. And I had a few opportunities, but it was around lunchtime I had those opportunities. And so I used to, go to the LSU Union, grab a bite to eat, and no time to go stand in line waiting for people to get out of their VR experience. So I missed those. And by the time I did get out of class and had some time to go stand in line, they were packing up or they had already gone. So I missed those opportunities to experience VR back in those days. So anyway, now, what was it? A few years ago, they were doing cardboard VR glasses. You take your cell phone and you run a certain app, and you put that in front of your eyes, cut out a cardboard holder to hold the phone in front of your eyes. Then, Oculus and other companies started to come up with somewhat affordable headgear to wear. Now it's the Oculus Quest 2, now owned by Facebook, or in this case, Meta, is the hot Christmas item. I went to Costco a few times in November, December, and saw that people were buying the headsets. Look at that. Screwed up. Oh, I'm forgetting to check if there's any comments. Sorry. Okay, no comments. Yeah, so yeah, I do bad in forgetting about comments. So anyway, went to Costco, and right in front of me, people were picking up the little cards to go to the service area or the checkout and get their Oculus. I need to. My voice is getting all croaky. But so I come home and I'm curious to do the current state of VR, and there's a lot of information on YouTube. Controls. Maybe I need to make sure I trim everything. Extend each line before I trim. So people are they seem to be getting into the VR thing, and now because I have been keeping in touch with the overall industry from time to time. I do know a few years ago there was effort to develop a neural link to detect brain signals and control the computer using brain impulses. You could even go to Amazon and order sensors that you would have to order several of them, but the idea is that you can get these sensor nets. You put them on the back of your head, and you can develop programs to do things with those signals. So the technology for the sensors were essentially over the counter. You can just go to Amazon to buy them. And so it wasn't like, wasn't like too difficult. I mean, anyone could just order, and the sensors were not that expensive. Let's see. Okay, so I guess I could trim. Yeah. So now I can trim. And well, guess what? Now there's companies coming up. They're on the beta test or the point of beta testing where it's no longer really beta testing, but it's not quite in production. But you're very close to going to large production. They have these neural links that you can now control the cursor and stuff like that. So essentially, you can get yourself a VR headset, in this case an Oculus Quest 2. You wear it, and then you add this pack to the back strap of the Oculus, and it doesn't have to encompass your entire head. It's just the back part, and it detects signals. Now, anyone who knows about the brain, inputs from your eyes is processed on behind your head back here. So the signals, these sensors are set up to detect the signals back there. So the idea is, you see your cursor, you focus on like clicking the cursor right there on the screen, and that, I guess, that detects the signals you're sending to your eyes on focusing, and it executes that command. So it's interesting because you can control the cursor, you can control other objects on the screen by focusing on that object. And so yeah, I'm interested in stuff like that. There's other things that I want to do too. I'm not a gamer, although I do like certain games. Star Trek Online comes to mind. But there's other games that I wouldn't mind experimenting with in terms of the cool factor. There's one called Elite Dangerous. Looks like I gotta do the extended thing again. So Elite Dangerous is interesting because I remember a few years ago, someone has a video. They connected their Echo, their Amazon Alexa, to the game. The game provided an SDK for people to do things externally with it, and this person was able to access the SDK and send it to Echo. And so he got his Echo assistant, digital assistant, to become his ship's computer. In the game. I got that's the wake word for this, for my Echo that's right here. So I pause and wait for it to time out. So it was fun because in Elite Dangerous, he would get his ship started up, get the location where he's at, and specify what star system he wanted to go to, simply by telling Alexa what he wanted. And it was nice. It was like watching Star Trek, where let's say Captain Picard or somebody accesses the ship's computer and then gaining feedback. Or remember that episode where Beverly Crusher is stuck in some sort of miniature dimensional bubble. I don't think it's a warp bubble, but I think Wesley Crusher was experimenting with some sort of warp bubble technology, and it made a pocket universe. And well, Beverly Crusher was stuck in this pocket universe without knowing. And so throughout the episode, people that she was talking to slowly began to disappear. Started with a colleague that was visiting the Enterprise. And then that person was no longer there. Where'd that person go? The ship started to do a ship-wide search. No one. They left space dock. And then as the ship was moving out, people of the crew started to disappear. Eventually, it was just her and the captain. And then it was only her. She was trying to come up with answers. So she was setting the ship to auto-navigate to a star system. Well, so what this guy did was very similar to that episode, where he was able to set his ship to auto-navigate to some other star system just by speaking to Echo. And so I thought that was nice, Now my voice. So I thought that was nice, a nice little feature to use. And so a few days ago, I do a search for Elite Dangerous and VR. And guess what? You can control your ship using VR. I don't know if it's a special flavor of Elite Dangerous, or if it's some sort of add-on package that you can just add on to your standard install. But people were demonstrating that you can use a VR headset in the game. So I thought that was kind of nice. So I'm kind of wondering, what would it take to do both? In Amazon Alexa connected to Elite Dangerous in VR. I thought that would be kind of neat. So I hope the guy that hooked up his Amazon Echo has a tutorial on how he did it, because I wouldn't mind doing it, and I don't want to have to, like, spend too much time to do it, because I got other things that are more important to do. And so I hope there's a tutorial. I have an idea of how he's doing it. It could be there's several ways people are connecting their Echoes so that their computers can interact with Echo. And one way is to have Echo have a program access the log file that gets produced from Amazon Echo. So the idea is that you log into your Amazon Echo account and you access the log, and you provide those same credentials to the program that you're making, and then you have the program access that log. So every time the log is updated, the program accesses that log. And so if I say Echo, turn on the lights, then the program, the log is going to have that command for turn on the lights. Well, the program, that's just a simple text file. So the program will be able to access and see, oh, there's that text command right there, and it will parse it out. So if you have, like, say, for example, if you have something like Echo open Microsoft Excel, well, there's keywords there, so you can parse it out and see, okay, there's open, and then go to a list of possibilities of what to open. Well, you could have Microsoft Excel, and then so elsewhere in the program, you would have a path to your installation of Microsoft Excel. So when it says open Microsoft Excel, then your program translates that and goes to your computer and opens it up. So the idea is basically the same, I would imagine, where you tell Elite Dangerous to go to a particular star system, and perhaps maybe there's a log that gets written, and then the Echo app opens that log and parses it, reads it, and then does it. I'm sure there's more things involved, because it's parsing, things like that. Maybe there's functions for parsing those particular items. And so I think that's probably the basic idea. And a lot of times when you're dealing with Echo directly, you got to deal with the Amazon servers. So the Amazon server for Echo, for testing, for developers to test, is called Lambda. So Lambda is free. Almost everything else is you got to pay for, and it's like thousands of dollars depending on how much usage is done and things like that. So Lambda is free. So it's probably a Lambda account that's working with the Elite Dangerous SDK. And so it's because there's also lag that I saw in the video. It wasn't very fast in response. So that lag is probably going to Lambda server, parsing, and getting outputted to your Echo, back and forth like that. So I would imagine that's probably what's going on. And so it looks like I got everything, all the lines. Okay, so this is the next step. Now I go to features, extruded cut. Now I don't know what the extruded cut I want to do. Select contours. Oh, this is a pain. That kind of tells me that there's something I missed with these lines. Let me cancel and see if I missed anything. Let me move this out the way. Let me also move this out the way. There was something I saw. Okay, maybe there is something here that I missed. So let me go. Let me cancel this. Go back to this sketch. Edit sketch. Yeah, is it this? See, sometimes, okay, so that sometimes you have these. You see how this thing has these measurements right there? Sometimes these measurements, okay, you see how it has these lines that are connected? Sometimes they look like it might be the line of an actual line rather than a line for that. I don't want to delete it. That would be one way to kind of, well, I guess I could delete it. Delete. Oh, come on. Yeah, I know. Delete. Okay, so now I go in and take a look. Yeah, so I don't see any of those lines. So maybe I didn't miss anything. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Huh? What happened to all the lines I put? Let me unzoom. Let me all this extra work that I did is not there. What's going on? Man, I'm gonna save this. Looks like I gotta do what I did over again. Well, not everything, but time. You know, all that trimming. Looks like I gotta do that over again. I'm just going to do one at a time to keep track. So I want to trim these off. You know, stuff like this. I don't know what happened, but stuff like this annoys me. So anyway, back to the talk about VR. It seemed like VR is going to become a thing. Looks like I got it. Yeah, it's like what happened to everything. Now I got to go back and extend. So one reason why I am excited about VR itself is because everything you see that I do using SolidWorks, all of these models and everything, they are VR compliant. SolidWorks is one of those companies. The founding company is, well, not the founding. The parent company, the company that owns SolidWorks software, is called Dassault Systems. And Dassault Systems is one of those companies very involved with VR stuff when it comes to CAD and all that. And so designing something in SolidWorks, you have a model that is already VR compliant. The only thing you would have to do extra is save the model in a format that is compatible to the formats that are being used for VR. You know, there's these VR engines. Like if you wanted to make a virtual world, okay, you would need some sort of engine to render and see your virtual world. There are several engines out there, and one of them is Unreal Engine. Another one is called Unity. And in terms of like if you do something with a typical headset, especially for games, you will either be using, whether you know it or not, Unreal Engine or Unity. You'll see the results from them. You won't be actually using it. You'll see the renders from them. So let's see. There are other virtual world engines out there. Some of them may be standalone. For example, SolidWorks, I don't think has a rendering engine, but I would imagine in time, when standards, I guess, become a little bit more standardized, you'll see a rendering engine within the CAD program that you're working with. So that way you don't have to use a third party, keep everything in-house. Give you an example, okay? When websites first developed, it was only a short matter of time before you can start your making your website in a graphical program. So before, it used to be like just use Notepad, some sort of text editor, and you would have to make the HTML codes yourself, learn the tags yourself. And then you have Microsoft Front Page that came out, and it shielded the user from the complexities of the code. And then you end up having other tools that came out similar to Front Page. Then you end up having software programs to make programs, development tools that came out that would have built-in browser stuff, so you can include browser technology with your program. And then the program started to come up with libraries that could render or could execute the HTML codes. And so little by little, instead of having to work with a third-party browser or something, you could include the same functionality of a browser inside of your program. And so little by little, programs started to have more and more browser-type features. Display the same type of graphics that are common on the web in your program. Display movies built in. So a lot of web technologies became normal for non-web applications. Well, same thing with VR. Back in the early days, like in the 90s, you had something called VRML, which was very similar to HTML. And so the idea is that you can make a 3D object, save it as a WRL or a world file, and browsers would be able to interpret a world file and render the image on your browser. Internet Explorer was one of those that did it. Firefox followed afterwards, and so forth. So instead of using a third-party VRML browser, you ended up using just a web browser. And same thing with HTML. You end up having libraries that made VRML for non-VRML programs easy. So when it comes to VR, I figure it's going to be the same thing. After you see it with 3D printing. I need to trim. So you see it with 3D printing where computer, stop. Computer, stop. I don't know if it actually stopped. So with STL files, when, for example, SolidWorks, okay? When I do this keyboard, all I have to do is save it as an STL, and then I can take that STL and I can move it to some other program, the programs that the printers use, so I can lay it out and I can control my printer. And for printers, you got to use another program to lay out your design on the build plate or the build area of your printer. And then you can save it as a G-code, whether you're using a resin printer or a filament printer or some other printer, it's still the same. You have an STL, and then you export it as an STL, you bring it to your printer software, and you lay it out for your printer, and then you generate a G-code. And then you take that G-code to your printer, or you send it through a USB cable or something to your printer. Well, now it's, instead of only STL, now it's 3MF. So SolidWorks now has the ability to save as STL or 3MF. And then to go one step further, SolidWorks also has a splicer. So you can kind of splice and see how your 3D model is going to be on your printer. It may, I think it does do, I don't know 100% sure, it may do G-code for specific printers. Usually it'd be like one of those Stratasys, large corporate printers, that cost like 20,000 or something like that. So with those, because a lot of companies, they'll use SolidWorks for something, they'll export it as 3MF, and they'll email it to some company that they have a servicing fee license with, that will generate high quality engineering parts, and they'll get this fancy 3D printed part. It might be with full color and all that type of stuff done, very fine in specialized material. So SolidWorks has that ability to export and send it directly to the people who are going to be doing your serious 3D printing. And so to do that, sometimes, because that costs money, so if there's an error and you send the third party your error, they print what you give them, so you get back a part with an error. And so to kind of proof those errors, so you don't send out an error and waste money, getting back a part with an error, you have the ability to render in G-code, and basically, I don't know if it does the G-code, okay, but you have the ability to render and see how the splicing for your part is going to be. And if everything looks good, then you say, okay, I want this, and then it saves it and sends it out. Well, with that logic involved, it'll be the same thing. It's a matter of time before a company like SolidWorks does it for VR systems, VR stuff. So the idea is that instead of taking a model like this keyboard and then exporting it, how about render it in some sort of VR compliant format, and then see it in the CAD system. If everything looks good, then you can spend time, resources, and other people and send it out to a department or a company or somebody else who's going to be rendering it in a more powerful VR engine, like Unreal Engine or Unity or some other. So I'm a little distracted here. I gotta continue trimming. So that's the overall way things go, and that's what I see is going to be happening with SolidWorks. It's just a matter of time. And so with that said, one nice thing that SolidWorks is doing is it's easy to simply save your 3D model in a virtual world format. And they recently added this feature in. For me, I would have to go to the SolidWorks, what is it called? SolidWorks Central, something like that. Website or portal, and log in and all that, and download the plugin. They call it an add-on. So once you install the plugin, all you have to do is just go save as, and then save it in the format. And then you would go to something like Unreal Engine or Unity, and you will use that software to import and manipulate in a 3D environment the object. So what's nice is that the objects that I do are already 3D compliant. So all I have to do is, save it in the proper format. So the nice thing about that is when it comes to the stuff that we do in DioWarriors with small scale props and action figures and things like that, it's a matter of time before a company like Pixelogic with ZBrush makes it so you can export a figure, an object, in a VR compliant format. In other words, I do believe it's going to be a matter of time before you start seeing something like a DioWarriors action figure in VR. In fact, that is something that I'm currently working on. So yeah, the DioWarriors action figures, excuse me, the DioWarriors action figures, I am looking into seeing how difficult would it be to put them into VR. I don't know how difficult it actually is yet, mostly because I need to have the action figure. But I am researching it. I am researching where there's other softwares out there that do push and pull in a format that is very similar to ZBrush. They're not ZBrush files, but you know how software tends to be. Especially the more professional you get, software wants to make it easy to migrate from one format to another. So I would imagine some of these ZBrush competitors would have the ability to access and read a ZBrush file, to import that file, so they can manipulate that file in their program and then export that file in a VR format. And if it's not a ZBrush file directly, perhaps a third-party file that's more open source. You know, something like a step file or an STL or 3MF. And there's other formats out there. You know, AutoCAD is one of those formats that a lot of people go to for making an interchangeable CAD file, because almost everywhere can read the old style CAD format. You know, DWG or something like that. That's, you know, drawing format. I don't know what's the format for a 3D Autodesk file, but you know, there's other formats. So sometimes you don't need to import a native format. Sometimes all you have to do is just import a compatible format to get what you want. You know, so, you know, like for example, I've imported ZBrush objects into SolidWorks so I can manipulate them in SolidWorks. But because SolidWorks doesn't import the native ZBrush file, I got to get creative and export in something like STL, and you know, use other softwares out there to manipulate that STL into a format that is a little bit more friendly for SolidWorks. Same thing if you're dealing with like Fusion 360. You know, you're going to be in that same boat of having to juggle multiple CAD programs in terms of what program can open what file, and then what program can export that file in a format that's compatible to some other program. And you know, you may have to go through, you know, 3 different programs to finally get to the format that you're looking for. You know, all that is not unheard of. It's a pain, and I think part of the reason is companies don't want you to use the competitor to work with their format. But you know how modern businesses become. You end up using multiple files for multiple software and multiple devices. So it's a matter of time where you use one format and then you got to go to another format, and you're not getting rid of the formats. You're not getting rid of the programs you're using. It's just that you go from one program to another, and you want to be able to use an image, an object that's made in one program, and use it in the other. Whether it's to extend the details, to change the object, to take advantage of the strengths of the other program, you know, or whatever. But you know, interchanging formats is a common thing in the modern office. And so I would imagine in a design studio, there's, you know, similar things, especially now that there's other mediums getting involved. You know, for example, VR is another medium. So people want to take advantage of, you know, the money-making opportunities there. If they're into games, they want to take advantage of using VR. And you know, something like Maya might be too expensive. I think there's a monthly subscription to use Maya, and it's outrageous. I think I saw someone post recently like it's over $1,000 for a monthly subscription, something like that. So you know, it's unless you're a big name, you know, game company, $1,000 subscription per month just to use software, you know, may be out of the question. So you want to use other things out there. And so, you know, there's other options. And anyway, that's I'm kind of drifting off the topic, but that's essentially where things are with VR. And so it's a matter of time before things become more stabilized. So, okay, let's see. If I go extruded cut now, I hope I don't see, yeah, I see selected contours. See, I want to get rid of that. Let me click that off. Let me just click that and go save, so I don't have to do anything again. And I'm just trying to see if I missed anything. I'm just looking for anything I might have missed. I think I got it all. I'm looking for gaps. I'm looking for lines that are sealed over, you know, like crossing from here to here, like I forgot to trim or something. Anything up here? Maybe I should do it like that. I don't see anything. So, okay, I'll continue with it. So, VR is exciting because it has a lot of new possibilities. And the way things are right now, there's not too much competition in a certain way. And you can do things that have never been done before. Get yourself in the history books for it. And so I'm going to go extruded cut and make a 0.5 millimeter cut. I'm going to say select the contours. I guess I got everything, huh? See, I don't like this thin feature. Okay, good. I don't have. Okay, good. I think everything's okay. So 0.5. Okay, do I actually have to select contours? I guess I do. That's a pain. I just gotta select this, select that, this, this. This. That. This. And here. Okay, so now when I look at it, everything's got that. Everything's going to be extruded about that much. So it should be an outer square and an inner square for the undercut to work. So I'm going to go cut extrude. Okay, now I'm going to make these cavities under here. This is going to be a little bit faster. Sketch. I'm going to simply make simply make a line. Well, no, I'm going to go ahead and choose an offset. Yeah, I'll make an offset here. I will offset this 1.5. Will it? Yeah. Actually, make it 2 millimeter offset. Reverse direction right there. Okay. Then I'm going to center point here. I'm going to hide this and hide this. Then I'm going to, I don't want to extend, sorry. I want another construction line. The center point from here to here. And I want to divide it into half again. right there. Trim this. Yes. And extend right there. Now I'm going to, I don't need to trim, but I need to extend this one all the way across. Do an offset. Oh, yeah, do an offset of 1, so it's a 2mm offset. When I go to bidirectional, same thing here. Well, let me do the same thing here. And let me select these 2 lines. This line, select that line, and select that construction line as my middle, and I go mirror. Okay, so I mirror that. Now I'm going to also choose another offset. I'm going to choose the middle, the horizontal line there. And then I'm going to trim that, because I'm making a cavity, so I want these lines to be touching the build plate. Okay, now for the center. So yeah, a goal for DioWarriors is to take advantage of the latest technology, as we have always done. And we were one of the early ones for independents to use 3D printing as over-the-counter type prop making for the manufacturing aspects. When it comes to toy design, 3D printing has been used for a long time, but that's for the prototype and then making the molds and stuff like that. The way DioWarriors used it, one of the early ones, I don't want to say the first, okay, but one of the early ones where you can buy directly something for G.I. Joe or Star Wars or something like that. That is a 3D printed item directly, without any without any beautification or without any other step, such as 3D printing then injection molding, such as that. You go directly to the 3D print, and and manufacture like that. And there's a lot of things that some people don't like about 3D printing, but the 3D printing technologies are getting better and better each year. Unfortunately, it's not getting fast enough for my taste, but it's not too shabby. I want to offset from the surface. I want to, let's see, if I select this surface inside there, and I want to offset as 1.5. Don't do that. I want to see it first. I want to see how deep it is. Okay, not too bad. That's 1.5. Looks kind of... edit feature. Oh no, it's not. Because I went to the wrong spot. Okay, 1.5. Yeah, see, this looks better. This looks more like what I was expecting. Although maybe I should just offset it to 1. Yeah, so it'll be 1 millimeter difference. 1 millimeter distance from the lowest point to there. Let me save before anything happens. And I'm gonna, oh, I think it's a little bit over the time that I wanted. I thought I was only going to take about an hour, but I think it's taking more. So let's say 0.75. So, well, I'm not trying to claim something like DioWarriors was the first to do this, the first. I'm not claiming that. Okay, it's just I'm saying we were early on, and which is true. We weren't first, we weren't the earliest, but we were early on with what we did, the approach of what we did, and it's been an interesting journey. So since those early days of using 3D printing for all of our production, now we got into other things, and so now we're trying to do the same thing with VR stuff too. So let's see how far we can take it, because what I would have to do is get more involved with one of those VR renders, one of those VR engines. I am leaning towards Unity at the moment. And so the idea is it'll be nice to see how VR could be to extend the figure collecting genre that we're involved with. And one more. Oh, I will say one more. Yeah, 0.25. Now I need to do the same thing for all of these undercuts, but I don't want to do 0.25. Although I think, okay, 0.25 is not too bad. Let's see how it looks when I print this. So this is going to take several hours to print, but you will see how it comes out. File, save as. Yeah, just save. Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and load up the other software. It's called Cura. Let me load that up. Let me stop the share. So stop screen. And when Cura loads up, I will show how that looks. Okay, let me just save this as an STL. Save. Okay. Okay. Going to, okay, we're waiting for Cura to load up. Cura takes a long time to load up. I got the splash screen. I'm also in the wrong. I'm in the wrong folder as well. I gotta go back. Go to props. Go to electronics and computers. Go to 112. Go to computers, consoles, pedestal, version 1, SolidWorks, and STL. Okay, let me go share screen. Yeah, share screen. Window, Pura, share. Okay. So let's see, what do you all see? Okay, so you see that, that's good. I am going to quickly take a look at some settings. Okay. What I need to do is simply drag and drop. There. Rotate. Aha, look at that. I guess I could have it right here on my build plate. Go splice, or slice actually. It'll take 33 minutes. Let me get the folder where I want to save it to. Copy. And let me go save to file. Control V. And go to File, Save. Control V. Save it as 3MF. I'll get into 3MFs at a later video. It's just that 3MFs are a new format for 3D printing that is trying to gain traction. There's some benefits over STL, so this is not too bad, huh? Oh, how come this is not? Oh yeah, it is. Okay, good. It just looked like it wasn't. I'm almost tempted to go ahead and identify each of the keys. Maybe I need to, I'll see how it comes out, but maybe I need to round the buttons. Notice the buttons are a little bit lofted. No, not lofted, sorry. A little bit with a draft. Prints cleaner, but the other thing is that the previous model was more, the 1/18 scale model is more compliant to injection molding. So what I would do here is make these this darker area, make that a draft, and then it'll be capable of injection molding. You know, very easy. And I'll have to do that also for the rest of the undercuts. Try to get rid of all the vertical line structures, so it's easier to slip off out of the mold. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to go ahead and send this to the printer. Let's do that right now. Oh, I just saw a print last night that failed. And I just saw that it failed more than where I thought it would fail. It looks kind of funny. I will show that later, I guess. Okay, I am going to... There's a lot more stuff that's coming from DioWarriors. It's just that I am trying to keyboards. I have pedestal. Okay, I am trying to finish off all of the orders that are pending before the end of the year. Unfortunately, there's at least one person. They'll get their stuff out after New Year's, I think, because I don't think there's just any way that I can meet the deadline before. It's some large, complicated parts that is almost complete, but there's how it is, especially when you're dealing with the VSS consoles that are smooth, the layer line suppressed. There's a lot of time involved in that alone, just for that one part. And there's other parts like that, and it's like, oh, there's no way it's going to be completed. So other than that, other ones I'm getting out. I had this real battle with the laser cutters, because they are getting a little bit on the aged side. So things need to get replaced, like the laser tubes need to get replaced. And so there's this one particular battle that I was just doing, just trying to get the thing to engrave properly, and it wasn't working. Finally have victory, but it has taken quite a bit of time to get that order done. So that order is going out finally. Nice thing is that the customer is getting what they paid for, and not some sort of shortcut. So that's good. If the person is going to wait, at least they're going to get what they ordered. It's not going to be like, oh, I waited for so long only to get something I didn't want. No. So I'm going to copy this to that. Okay, copy here. Verified. Good. Going to go back and start the print. Okay, folks. I guess when I turn on this printer and get it going, that will be a good time to end this broadcast. I'm using hairspray this time. Oh, wrong printer. Okay, close that. Print. Pedestal 1/12 scale. This one. Okay, this is going to take a while. So 33 minutes, but I got it printed at half the speed, so it'll be longer. When it gets done, I will compare it with the old one. And let me just stop the screen and give you the full screen. Stop screen. Okay. Hey, blurry. So I'll compare it with the old one. This one. Like I said, this one was done at 1.5. You can see the keyboard is a little bit on the smaller side. However, when it comes to a 1/7, this is approximately 1/7. I don't think it's actually. It's nearly perfect for this scale. So something like a Figma. It's a little bit on the bigger side, but it's nearly perfect. So, okay, with that, it's a good stopping point. Thank you for joining me. If you had questions, I didn't see them, I'll get to them. Yeah, I wish everyone a very happy Merry Christmas, and I'll be back before New Year's, so I'll wish everyone a New Year's then. But if you're, spending time with family and stuff like that, you don't get to see me, I wish you all uh, a happy New Year's as well. Hey, now it's prints. Now it's printing. Okay, good. With that, I'm going to get a bite to eat. Okay, catch y'all later. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thanks. End broadcast. 3, 2, 1.